Can somebody just unmute themselves and tell me if you can see the first slide?
Yes, we can, mate.
Okay, right. Good evening, everybody. As the slide says, my name is Duncan Wood. I'm calling here from North Wales. Just give you a brief background about myself. I've been making a full-time living from network marketing originally, and then progressed to online marketing with various companies, and mainly in the last couple of years to do with cryptocurrency. And like a lot of people, I've been let down by many companies. It didn't deter me, it just actually gives me more motivation to succeed in the next one. I've had some great success, but I've also had lots of failures. This last year was actually the worst year I've ever had. And if anybody's been listening on to the news tonight, you've probably heard of the company ASOS, clothing company, and even online retailers now are feeling the effects of what's going on in the world. It's not just the high street. A lot of people are struggling. I actually got to a financial crisis. When you get to a situation where there's more money going out than coming in, it can be quite serious if you can't change it. And it got to a critical point recently, but a very good friend of mine from Canada sent me a video. I did watch it. I wasn't in the best of places at the time when I watched it. So and also because of past experiences, I assumed a few things and ignored it. Anyway, he did persist, and he sent me another message a week later. And on that message, he told me he'd been in this system for that time 16 days, and he had in the bank 56,000. Well, I don't know about you. I had to call him. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know the ins and outs of everything. I wanted to know what was different and unique about this, who was behind it, what the longevity was, whether it was legal, all the questions that people should ask when they're looking at any business. So we're going to go through this presentation tonight, and that will answer a lot of your questions, hopefully. I joined that night. I sent 2 donations, one to John, my sponsor, and one to a gentleman called Joe, who also lived in Canada. He very kindly called me and thanked me for sending him the donation. We had a chat. But I joined that night. I hadn't spoken to anybody, went to bed, woke up the next day, and I'd received $250, the amount I started with, in the bank. I don't know about you, but I've never started a business, and not even started really, hadn't introduced anybody, and broke even the same night. I've literally been in this business now nearly 40 days. I can honestly say it is without doubt the most amazing system or business I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot. Like Colin often says, he has been in practically every type of business, so have I. Unfortunately, a lot of those businesses aren't around anymore. I wanted to find a business I could lay my hat on and say, this is my home and this is where I'm going to stay. But unfortunately, we've all been let down by company after company. And so because of that, you have to move on. And I think things happen for a reason. And this company, 50/50, is about to be what I would class as one of the biggest companies in the world. Okay, so let's just talk about, first of all, what is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is a process, a system that's been around for thousands of years. It's basically a system to raise funds for any project or cause through a group of people working together, which is what's lacking now in the industry, in the world. And there are 4 main types of crowdfunding. One is loan-based, one is investment-based, donation-based, and prepayment or reward-based. Now, some of them you can see here, the site from the FSA. Some of them are regulated. This system of crowdfunding is peer-to-peer or donation-based, and that is not regulated. That means it is totally legal in every country throughout the world. Now, you can go and do your own research. There's the site to go to. And find out more about it yourself. But believe you me, do not believe what people say or tell you. The first person I spoke to said to me that this was illegal. He was totally incorrect and ignorant in what he was telling me. So don't believe what often people will tell you. It can be wrong information. So why crowdfunding? Well, the banking system is failing people. the trust has diminished, and it's all been caused by, in 2008, mortgage-backed security failure was deemed the cause of it. Now, there's lots of information you can go and find out about what's going on, but there's 3 videos that I've watched and listened to. One's called The Inside Job, one's called The Big Short, and the other one's called The Call. I'd recommend to go and have a look or watch those videos, and you will understand why the system of the banking system worldwide is crumbling, because it's fraught with holes and failures. So it's the banking system that is the problem. There's a couple more sites. There's a film coming on television soon called Spank the Banker. I know it sounds funny, but it's not funny, because when you understand what the banking system has done to businesses throughout not just this country, but it's happening throughout the world. So the banking system is failing people. There is a massive problem in the financial system. Already some bankers now are facing jail sentences for what they've been up to, and it's all going to come to light soon. So if you think that the last banking crisis is the end, it hasn't even started yet. A lot more is coming to light. So banks don't lend you money, they manage securities, and your signature just creates the credit. They haven't really got the money, they're not lending you money. It's the system that's failing people. Now, this is one of the reasons why I went through that, is the reason why crowdfunding is now coming to the forefront. Why? Because the general public always find a way around. There's always a solution. And crowdfunding has been around for quite a while, but now because of the internet, it's coming to the front. Here are some of the companies. This is just the top 8 companies. You've probably heard of a few of them. Indiegogo, Circle Up, GoFundMe. I'd heard of these companies, but some of them I didn't even realize were crowdfunding companies. Now, you will also see the size of the market. You could go to a site called Fundly. They have quoted that in 2017 that $34 billion has been donated, and they're projecting that to grow to $300 billion by 2025. So it's a huge market. It is growing, it's not depleting, and it's actually growing by 136%, I think it is. So not only are companies starting, but existing companies that we all know, like PayPal, the largest payment provider in the world. PayPal are now allowing people to use the platform to crowdfund. So social media now. Here's Facebook. You've all heard of them. Social media platforms are now opening up to enable members to donate money for charitable and product-related organizations. And this will allow anybody, anywhere in the world. Can I just ask whoever has got noise in the background, could you please mute yourself? This will allow anybody in the world to donate to your cause. So it's literally not, it's not just for organizations and companies, it's for individuals as well. Literally anybody can crowdfund. You don't have to have, as I said, to be a big company. You don't even need to be a charity. And in case you're wondering, even the kids can get involved as long as they're either 13 up to 18. They do need, 17, they do need parental permission. Anybody over 18, that's your own decision. This is all happening because of technology. The phone and the computer is changing everything. So who's behind 50/50? David T. Rosen is a Canadian entrepreneur. David is an expert in the crowdfunding arena. He did have a couple of companies that failed, but he's now got 16 years of experience because David founded his first successful crowdfunding system that really took off, called G1G4 in 2002, and that's still running to this day. Now, David did sell the company because he was ill at the time, quite seriously ill. I actually heard what caused it. It was to do with some kind of mold or damp in his house. He didn't even realize it, and he became very ill and had to stop working at the time. So he sold the company, but he kept the license for the software, and also he had an ambition to create a much bigger and using the latest technology, better system than he had previously. Just bear with me a second. Sorry about that. So that company is still running to this day. Just let me go back. That company is still running to this day. It has so far generated nearly 1 billion in donations between, I think it's that's what it says there, 670,000 active members. And he has now a track record in this industry. So David knows what he's doing, where he's going, and he has estimated that this system 50/50, which is absolutely unique out there is nothing like this in the world. This is the first of its kind, and he reckons this is going to be 10 times bigger than his previous company. Now just work it out for yourself. If the previous company has generated 1 billion and this company is going to be 10 times bigger, we're going to have to reach 10 billion before this even begins to, as some people think, slow down. I honestly don't think it is going to slow down. I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger because we can't depend on the banking system the way it is, and something has got to happen. So imagine if you'd been involved in any of these companies in the past. These are companies that have grown to some of the biggest organizations in the world. Imagine how wealthy you'd be today if you just got a few shares or got involved with any of these companies. So timing is everything. Imagine, as an example, Facebook or Microsoft, how wealthy you would be today. So the right time is now, because things are happening in the world beyond most people's control. But what you can control is how you change. You know, there's a saying, if you keep doing the same thing, you get the same result. Now is the time to change and start looking at alternative ways of generating revenue for whatever your reason. So this company was launched on the 4th of October. It's literally only 2 months old just. When I started, there were 500 people in the company. But I'm just going to run through with how it works. So 50/50 is the world's first crowdfunding system that allows you to receive half of everything that happens in your donation centers. And that is forever. When I say forever, for as long as you participate and as long as you keep donating, you keep receiving, and you always receive more than you've donated. So 50/50 is based on a world famous Mobius loop. We'll go through this a little bit more later, but very quickly, every person you personally introduce you into the system follows you right the way through all the levels, which we'll talk about in a minute. And this uses the System G technology, which is actually the most successful 2x2 follow me donation center in history. So 50/50 is a team crowdfunding system that provides help from above and below. When I say above, so your sponsor or people above you can help you fill your matrix. You can by introducing others, and obviously those people can also help. So it's a group of people all helping each other, and also you rotate round, so you're always actually receiving from people that you've never even met and they have never met you. It's an amazing system. It does take a little bit to understand it, but believe you me, it's very, very simple. 50/50 is a peer-to-peer team crowdfunding system, which means there's no middlemen. And this was one of the main points I loved when I heard it, because you are not actually sending any money to a company or responsible for that company to pay you. The only money that you pay the company is a license fee, and that is for 6 months. That's the only money that the company receives. The donation goes from peer-to-peer, person-to-person, directly from their bank account or their PayPal, as an example, directly to your bank account. No fees are taken out on the way. It's directly straight to you. So 50/50 provides you not only with a system, but a website to allow you to easily navigate, and a totally automated dashboard that displays everything in real time. So you can monitor all your donations second by second. It is all tracked. You know exactly who the donation is coming from, who you're sending it to. So there's nothing to hide here. And there are really only 3 simple steps to get started. First of all, you need to make a decision. The next thing is you need to pay the $29, or we have just recently had the 50/50 fast system, which is $19. Once you've paid that to the company, the only thing you need to do then is to donate to 2 people. So once you've donated, you have become what's called an active donor, and then you are allowed to receive. So you can now go into your back office and set up the methods you wish to receive donations by, and then your only job then is to find 2 people. That's the minimum. You can find as many as you want, but the minimum is 2. So once you've found your first and second person, your job as a sponsor is take responsibility, help those people introduce 2 people, and you will have 6 in total. And that literally is a matrix. It's not a company matrix, it's your matrix. Now, as I mentioned, that could be filled from above, from you, your efforts, or people you introduce. That is the complete, what they call the cycle. Once those 6 positions are filled by 6 people that donate, that finishes, and you can start another one. You can do it again and again and again. So these are the levels. This is the top level, which everybody should aim to get to, and everybody starts at the basic level, which is the 250, and that's where I started. Now, when I first saw this, I immediately thought that you had to outlay more money. In other words, put your hand in your pocket and pay another 500, and then 1,000, and then 2,000. That is not the case. You can literally start this business with 250, and actually there are another 3 levels that have been added recently. So if somebody really can't afford 250, they could start at the minimum, which is $25, and there is another level above that, which is $50, and there's another level above that, $150. So there is actually now 8 levels that you can have. Let me give you an example. If you start at the 250 level, that is all you're ever going to spend. I've never put my hand in my pocket since. It is completely self-funding. But at that first level, the 250 level, you will receive 6 donations equaling $120 each. So you would receive back, when all 6 people or individuals have donated, of a total of $750. You could do that once, twice, 3 times, as many times as you want. At any point, you could say, right, I'm now going to carry on running the 250 level, but I want to upgrade to the level 2, the 500 level. You would have the level 1 running and the level 2 together. You can't, as an example, a lot of people think you could just jump up, say, to level 2 or level 3. Everybody starts with level 1, and you build up. Now, there's nothing stopping somebody from starting with level 1 and 2, or level 1, 2, and 3, or level 1, 2, 3, and 4, or all 5 levels, or 8 levels. That is up to each individual. If you can afford it, my advice is do it. If you can't, then don't do it. You can literally start this from the bottom and work your way up, but it's totally self-funding. So level 3 is the 1,000. Level 2 is the 500 level. At this level, you receive again 6 donations. It's the same right the way through all the levels. This time, they're donations of $250 a time. Times that by 6 is 1,500. Plus, remember, you would also be still receiving the donations from your level 1 position of 125. At any point, you could upgrade again now to the 1,000 level. So you'd have the level 3 running, level 2 running, and level 1 all at the same time. You would, at this level, receive 6 donations of 500. So now you would receive, when all 6 positions are donated, a total of 3,000 at that level. Level 4, 2,000 times 6, $1,000 each is at 6,000, and level 5 is the top level, 4,000 at this level, which you donate. You would receive 6 donations at 2,000, so you'd return total of 12,000. Remember, once you've achieved that highest level, you are literally just donating and receiving, donating and receiving. That's all you do. you can do that for as long as you want. As long as you keep donating, you keep receiving. So let's just go through how it actually works on the 250 level. There's you. You introduce your first person. That person donates 125 to you and 125 to your sponsor. Now, all you need to do is help or introduce your second person. That second person does exactly the same as the first person. 125 goes to you, 125 goes to your sponsor. Now all your role is to help those two people do exactly the same. So the first person introduces his first person, he or she receives 125, and 125 comes to you. You've now received a total of 375, so you're now in, if you want to call it, profit. Now your first person introduces their second person, they receive 125, and you also receive 125. Now help your second person introduce their first person, 125 goes to you, and 125 goes to, I was jumping ahead then. Now you work with your second person on their second person, 125 goes to you, and 125 goes to them. So you will have received on that 250 level a total of 750, minus your 250 initial outlay, you are up 500. Now, you can do that as many times as you want. If you really can't afford to upgrade, just do it twice or 3 times. That will give you enough from donations to allow you to upgrade to the next level, the 500 level, and it literally self-funds itself. Brilliant system. So there is something new that's been added recently. It's literally, I can't remember, is it 3 days it's been running? There are 3 more levels, as you can see, $25, $50, and $150. They all work exactly the same way. Each one has 6 positions. Remember, when you're hearing or seeing this for the first time, it's not you every time finding 6 people. It could be from above, it could be from below, it could be people you introduced previously with the Mobius loop coming back into the your matrix and filling them from people you originally introduced. That's how the Mobius loop works. But the good thing is now, if somebody really can't afford 250, they could start at the $25 level, or they could start with the 25 and the 50. My advice is, if you can afford it, get all 3, and start at the 250 as well. Because I just want to tell you that this has only been literally running a few days. I've already seen a return of just under 3,000 in 3 days, just from this alone. I mean, this is fast. And that's why it's called fast, because it's smaller amounts, but they are fast. Now, if you really can, my advice is always start with that 250 and just add these 3 levels on. And that also allows you then to help recruit people maybe in third world countries, or where people are really struggling for money. They want to take advantage of this system. They just haven't got that 250 to start. This allows anybody anywhere in the world to start this system, no matter what position they're in. Now, if anybody listened to the call last night from David T. Rosen, the CEO, he announced that we are literally our second month into the business. We currently have 14,000 members. Those 14,000 members have donated so far 7 million raised in literally 2 months. That's approximately 3.5 million a month. Imagine what this is going to be like in month 3 and 4. Now, as I said to you, I've literally been in this system for 40 days. It's not even 40 days yet. It's 2 or 3 days away from 40 days. When I started, there were 500. Look at it now, 14,000 members. There's something going on here. So if you're looking at this for the first time, take notice. There's something major happening right in front of you, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation. I hope that helps. I'm just going to stop sharing now. And generally, there are only a few questions most people ask. The first thing that, the first person I approached was a very good friend of mine who actually said something to me which made me doubt my judgment. Because he said to me, this crowdfunding is illegal. And when somebody says that to you, you know, I mean, I knew deep down that that wasn't the case, but I just thought, well, I need to confirm with somebody that really can just confirm with me, whoever that is. If you could just mute yourself, please. I wanted to confirm that, so I phoned up a friend of mine who's a solicitor and asked him the question. I said, I wonder, could you help me? I think I know the answer to this question. I just want you to confirm it to me that my friend is wrong and I am correct. And he said, well, first thing is, what type of crowdfunding is it? So I told him it's peer-to-peer. He went away, and a couple of days later, he came back to me. Actually, Steve is actually on this call. I'm laughing to myself because he's just... And cut a long story short, he proved to me one thing. Do not believe what some people tell you about, you know, all sorts of things. Often friends love to give you an opinion, often about something they know nothing about. And again, some people will say things like, you know, I have people saying to me, oh, it's a pyramid. Well, ask that person, what do you mean by pyramid? Because every business is a pyramid. If you think of the corporate structure, a business, any business, it is a pyramid shape. There's always a CEO, the director, or who owns the company, and underneath that is a group of managers, probably salespeople, management, and the general workers. Now, nobody is able to get to that top position unless they take over the company, which is unlikely. So nobody's ever going to earn more than the person at the top. In this system, and I can tell you for certain, when I called or when I was introduced by John, my sponsor, and I actually fell underneath a gentleman called Joe, the first thing Joe told me was, I asked him a question, how long have you been in this business, Joe? And he said the same time as John, because I introduced John. And then I asked him a question, Joe, could you tell me how much you have received so far? And he told me, and he had actually received about 40,000. And he actually said, John's earned more than me, has he told you? And I said, yes, I know. Now that tells you one thing, that in this type of pyramid, that you can earn more than the person that's introduced you. Why? Because it's a much fairer system. Everybody can generate whatever they want based on their time and effort that they put in. The more effort you put in, the more rewards that you can achieve. Now, a lot of people worry about longevity. That was one of the questions I asked. Well, just look as an example, the previous company that Joe started in 2002. And let me just remind you, in 2002, we didn't have the internet like we have now. We didn't have social media. We didn't have the iPhone or mobile phones like they've got now. So he started that company in a totally different era. That company is still running to this day, and it's been running 16 years. Now, there are billions of people in the world, and the population is growing faster than we can ever imagine. So this system will just carry on going and going. As long as you keep donating, you keep receiving. That is the key. So the whole point is you will always receive more than you're donating. So the likelihood is that, as David said, we will all be dust before we even know whether this will go on for life. But the way I look at everything is nothing lasts forever. We don't hold a glass ball. We can't predict the future, but my advice is make the most of this and spend and use your money wisely and invest it in other things, just in case. But I can honestly say the whole point that I was attracted to this is I am not dependent on a company. It is totally reliant on one person sending a donation or choosing to send a donation to another person, and nobody can ever stop that. Colin, I'm not sure if you're there. If you could just unmute yourself. I don't think there's any other questions that I can think of that people generally ask. They're the three main ones. Are you there, Colin?
Yeah, I'm here, mate. Yeah, I'm here.
Can you think of anything else that people ask?
The key thing I'd like to just point out to everybody as well is that crowdfunding in general, if you look at how they work, it's always about you donate directly to one person's cause. 100% of your money goes directly to them. What we have in 50/50 is that donation is split between two people. So we start to affect more people. It's like a ripple. That's how I see it. It'll just spread further. Now, what the other major crowdfunding platforms have that we don't have, which is what people don't really understand and think, well, they can't get their head around it, is we don't have a campaign page. People don't know what people are actually fundraising for. What is their cause? Going forward, it was announced last night that we will have the option, if we want to, we can add our own campaign, our own cause. You can tell people what you want to fundraise for, and your fundraising page can go out to the globe. It doesn't just stay within the community of 50/50. So now we've got a situation where we can show people our cause if we want to, and we can be receiving as well as donating. It makes us a hell of a lot stronger than the model that's currently out there right now. So we are definitely in the right place at the right time. You've already answered the legality of it all. We all know it's totally legal. You spoke about the shape of the structure that people don't really get their head around, thinking that only the people at the top make the money. That's not true. We now know because of the Morbius loop. And the key thing about the Morbius loop, as Duncan has said, is that nobody else has this software. We are the only company that has true peer-to-peer transactions. It's from my bank account to your bank account. Every donation I receive comes directly to my bank account. It never goes through the company. Not 1 cent of it.
Colin, just while you're talking about that, David mentioned something, and it's a question I wondered, is how do the other fundraising systems on the internet, how do they make money? And he mentioned they actually charge a percentage of the donations you're going to receive, which I didn't know about. Now, in this system, no money from the donation goes to the company. It's literally 100% to you. The only money that the company makes, which is David, he owns the site, because that's all it is the $29, or in the 50/50 fast, it's $17.
When you think about that, Duncan, as was stated, $7 million has been moved in 8 weeks or so. Yeah. $7 million, and not 1 cent of that has gone through 50/50, the company. Not 1 cent. No, all done person to person. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm going to stop the recording now, and then we will open up the